Yeah, any abrupt transition from the CEO position is the bigger news. The quarter itself sounded like it was pretty in line. Guidance was in line. This Adobe's actually a company that's had remarkably steady growth, considering it's so undervalued and so underappreciated. Adobe has been able to keep around low double-digit growth for the last 3 or 4 years in the face of competition, in the face of AI fears. So the quarter itself seems fine. The guidance seems fine. An abrupt CEO transition is always something that takes investors back, and investors will have to now be in limbo until the replacement is identified, designated, and they can evaluate that replacement.
Yeah.
That's always a position of discomfort for investors.
But it doesn't adding to that discomfort, Gil, is there were so many questions here about Adobe's future in the face of all this AI disruption, whether it was real or not. And the idea that you would want to make sure that there was some continuity in leadership, or at least some sort of certainty about leadership. And to have an announcement come out of the blue like this, as far as I can tell, there didn't really seem there was any speculation that he was even going anywhere. It really raises a lot of questions here about how they navigate just over the next few months, if not the next couple of years.
That's right. So that is going to be the concern. Now, I'll present the flip side of that, which is Mr. Narayen has done a good job getting Adobe to this place, which is a large software company that's had steady growth at very high margins, among best-in-class margins. Maybe the next CEO needs to be the one that brings Adobe into the AI age and changes the business in the way required to adapt to the AI age. So that's assuming they can find that CEO that can deliver that message of transitioning to this new era, they can make this into a positive. But again, there's a pause between now and when that person is identified, which is the one investors are going to have to now grapple with.
Well, Gil, just to push back a little bit, how much of a surprise is this really? Because you take a look at Adobe's stock performance since the beginning of 2024, it's been moving down in pretty much a straight line, lower by nearly 55% on a total return basis through today's close. So I hear what you're saying that, the fundamentals of the business still look strong, look steady, but clearly there's been difficulty in communicating that to the shareholder base. So again, with that context, is this really that out of the blue?
No, that's exactly right. At the end of the day, the buck stops with the CEO. And if the stock underperforms for extended period of time, then the CEO is the one being held accountable for it. And likely that's what happened here. I'm just trying to be fair and balanced to Mr. Narayen and say, it's not the performance of the company that's lacked, it's the performance of the stock. And that has, especially these days, a lot to do with narrative, with these assertions that others are making that software's all a zero and that the terminal value in 5 years is a zero. I think that scared a lot of investors, especially since Adobe has become the poster child for that assertion. So I'll give him credit for the fundamental performance, but then he also needs to take accountability for the share performance.
Mm-hmm. And with that in mind, Gil, you touched on this a little bit, but what do you think that the market wants to see out of the next CEO? How can the new leadership, whenever it's named, sort of communicate that message more effectively? And I also think it's interesting that Adobe shares down about 6% after hours, so not necessarily cheering this transition news.
Yeah, that's right. So the opening of the aftermarket activity was barely flat or maybe slightly down. It's the CEO news that's causing investors to worry. It's a tough job for the next CEO. So who that person is, whether they're credible in the AI realm, will be important. In terms of the message, it just has to be a change of direction. Adobe has really said, look, we're fine on AI, we're agnostic, we're going to have responsible AI for responsible image and video generation. That message clearly has not resonated with investors, so that message has to be different. How is Adobe going to be aggressive? How is it going to go on offense and have its own perspective and its own models maybe, or participate through M&A in acquiring whatever properties it would require investors to believe that Adobe has a place in the AI future? That is a tough task on whoever that next CEO is.